Coming up on Network Africa, protesters killed in attack on UN convoy in Democratic Republic of Congo. United Nations urges probe into deadly Somaliland clashes. Plus, Zambia rearrests Croatians in child trafficking probe. Hello and welcome to Network Africa. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Let's begin in the troubled Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where the UN has released a statement saying that 3 protesters have been killed during an attack on a UN convoy on Tuesday. The UN mission in the country says it deplored the deaths during the attack in Monigi in the northern part of Kivu province. It also reported that the protesters had forced the convoy to stop and then proceeded to set 4 trucks on fire. The victims died while peacekeepers, accompanied by Congolese soldiers, tried to protect the convoy, according to the statement. Rebels have recently captured large swaths and territories in a volatile province, sparking public anger against the UN and the East African Regional Force. The media regulator in the Democratic Republic of Congo has ordered the local office of satellite television provider Canal Plus to remove Rwandan channels from those it offers to the country. The suspension will run for a period of 90 days. It could potentially be renewed depending on circumstances. The regulator said in a statement that Kinshasa accuses Rwandan channels of inciting civil disobedience, among many allegations. The Canal Plus offer has about 10 Rwandan TV channels, including Rwandan state broadcaster RBA, that airs news and commentary programs about the ongoing war in eastern DR Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo, the United States, and United Nations experts accuse Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel group in the eastern part of the country. The UN has called for an investigation into violence in a self-declared Republic of Somaliland, where at least 50 people have been killed during 2 days of fighting between regional government troops and local militias. Medics in the city of Las Anod say that they are struggling to cope with a number of casualties. The city is in an area which is also claimed by the Somali region of Puntland. The authorities there have denied that troops from Puntland are fighting alongside local militias. The president of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, has called on all sides to hold talks to end the conflict. Somaliland broke away from Somalia back in 1991, but it has not been internationally recognized. Hope of finding work is the leading factor driving people to join fast-growing violent extremist groups in sub-Saharan Africa. This is the key finding of the latest report entitled Journey to Extremism in Africa, which has just been launched. At the launch, UNDP Administrator Achim Steiner reviewed that report. And more reactions are still trailing the expulsion of the UN representative to Mali by its transitional government. A spokesperson for the Secretary General, United Nations, Stéphane Dujarric, also addressed reporters in New York.
The Secretary General deeply regrets that on February 5th, the transitional government of Mali declared the director of the Human Rights Division of the UN peacekeeping mission and representative of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Human Rights as persona non grata, in the context of the political transition towards a return to constitutional order in Mali. The Secretary General underscores the critical need for the Malian authorities to protect human rights and include, in particular, freedom of expression, which is crucial for the functioning of a democratic society.
And hope of finding work is the leading factor, as we told you earlier, driving people to join fast-growing violent extremist groups in sub-Saharan Africa. And this is the key finding of the latest report entitled Journey to Extremism in Africa, which was recently launched.
In the new report, that 48% of voluntary recruits do cite a trigger event that caused them to join, and of them, 71% cited these human rights abuses, such as government action.
In many countries where the lack of income, the lack of job opportunities, livelihoods, desperation is essentially pushing people to take up opportunities with whoever offers them to. And the research underscores the relevance of these economic factors as drivers of recruitment. 25% of voluntary recruits cited job opportunities as their primary reason, and 40% said they were in urgent need of livelihoods at the time of recruitment. The geopolitical dimension should not surprise anyone. It is a part of precisely this phenomenon when states are essentially no longer able to provide the rule of law and to provide national security, then the opportunity for other actors to become part of this drama grows exponentially. We have seen it in Mali, we've seen it in Libya, we've seen it in the Horn of Africa. What is important is this toxic mix that is created. On the one hand, poverty, destitution, because it's not just jobs. I mean, 40% actually cited also the urgent need of livelihoods. Then this phenomenon of a society, in a sense, no longer having a rule of law, turning to some of these violent extremist groups to provide security, the kidnapping, the forced recruitment that takes place.
Authorities in Zambia have rearrested 8 Croatian nationals accused of child trafficking 1 day after the state prosecutors dropped all the charges. The chief resident magistrate Dominic Makadlicha has said the case against the 4 women and 4 men had only been discontinued and was not an acquittal. The Croatian national's lawyer, as well as the Zambian Department of Immigration's public relations officer, Namati Nshinka, confirmed the 4 couples had been detained. The 8 were arrested last year after allegedly checking into a lodge in the northern Ndola town, but on the 3rd day, workers there noticed they had children. The couple said they had adopted the children from neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. But Zambian authorities had earlier said they were working with the relevant bodies in DR Congo to investigate the matter. 24 students who got injured at a school building collapse following a rainstorm in southern Ghana have been treated and they've been discharged from hospital. 5 others who sustained serious injuries remain in stable condition. Officials in Nigeria government hospitals say a total of 19 students are still being treated. The students in the Anglican Senior High School in Ejuraman were eating for their dinner when a rainstorm ripped off the roof of their dining hall and brought down the makeshift structure. Engineers have been assessing the extent of damage, which also affected other buildings in the school. Tunisia has joined the long list of countries that are sending aid to earthquake-hit Turkey and Syria. President Kais Saied had ordered humanitarian aid for countries, including over 15 tons of blankets and food after they were hit with a 7.8 magnitude earthquake, which of course has killed and injured thousands of people so far. Dozens of nations, including the United States, China, and the Gulf of States, have all pledged to help, and search teams as well as relief supplies have begun to arrive by air. The winter storm has compounded the misery by rendering many roads, some of them damaged by the quake, almost impassable, resulting in traffic jam that stretched for kilometers in some regions there. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has declared 3 months state of emergency in 10 southeastern provinces. The World Health Organization has also warned that up to 23 million people could be affected by the massive earthquake and has asked nations to rush to help the disaster zone. Economic hard times have had Tunisia pushing for years for an international bailout to help it stave off bankruptcy. But the country's political turmoil and disputes over economic reforms have thwarted these efforts. Tunisian street cleaner Lassaid Merji says that life has gone so tough for his family because of the country's dire economy.
Like many Tunisians, 57-year-old Medri and his wife El Gaya had already been struggling to cope with basic living costs before the COVID-19 pandemic, the rise in global inflation, and a crisis in state finances. Now things are so difficult that they prepare just one meal a day.
The people are no longer happy and are not able to smile. Everything has become difficult to do. Whoever laughs now regrets it. We now laugh just as stress relief. The poor are laughing today to relieve their stress so they do not get sick.
Medri, his wife, and their son used to eat 3 square meals a day. Now El Gaya only prepares a midday meal, and they only eat in the evening if there are leftovers.
Everything has become very expensive this year. We can no longer buy anything.
Medri spends his working days sweeping streets and pavements into Bomba, pushing a wheel plastic bin along with him to earn 400 dinars, which is about $100 a month. Last week, global rating agency Moody's downgraded Tunisian sovereign debt, saying there was a likelihood of a default. Shortages of some subsidized food and medicine already point to the government economic problems, and the default will likely make things much worse by raising the cost of borrowing and undermining the dinar, which will worsen inflation. Medri needs medicine for a condition, but says he's no longer able to find it in Tunisia.
There's no medicine anymore, not just a shortage, but there are medications that are missing like this one. There's a woman who brought it for her mother from France. It's for blood lipid, and she donated it to me. At
the Tunis market, a vegetable seller says he's ashamed to be demanding such high prices, but is making no profit. Shortages have been seen across the country, with supermarkets and local shops out of some products or having to ration basic goods such as sugar, milk, butter, and cooking oil. Even with those shortages, a 10% inflation rate, which economists say may be 20% for food items, means many Tunisians are buying less anyway.
Tunisian President Kais Saied has fired his foreign minister Othman Jerandi. The president appointed Nabil Amar, Tunisia's ambassador to the European Union, to replace Mr. Jerandi. He did not give any reason for the dismissal. A career diplomat, Mr. Jerandi became foreign minister under Mr. Saied in September 2020. He becomes the 4th minister to lose his position this year, with the trade, agriculture and education ministers having already been displaced. President Saied also carried out a series of measures back in 2021 to enhance the power of the presidency at the expense of parliament and the judiciary. Opposition parties boycotted the 2022 parliamentary elections, accusing the president of staging a coup after shutting parliament in 2021 and giving himself almost unlimited executive powers. Still ahead on the program, Nigeria condemns reported killing of Nigerians in Burkina Faso. We'll bring you the details in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The federal government of Nigeria has released a statement saying it received with grave concern disturbing reports of a gruesome killing of some Nigerian travelers by yet-to-be-identified gunmen on the 1st of February 2023 between Kanchari and Fada and Guruma in eastern Burkina Faso. The Nigerians who belong to the Tijaniya sect were said to be traveling to Senegal on a periodic pilgrimage when the tragic incident happened. In the statement, the government adds that it is deeply dismayed by this unfortunate development and is engaging with the Burkinabe authorities through the Nigerian mission in Ouagadougou to ensure thorough investigation in the incident with a view to bringing the culprits to book. The federal government of Nigeria condoles with the families of the affected victims and persons and enjoins Nigerians to remain calm while investigation is ongoing. Joining us now is a former Nigerian ambassador to Switzerland, Joseph Ayalogo. Thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa, Ambassador Ayalogo.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us from London once again. Now, should the government expect people in Burkina Faso to be upfront with information, seeing that the country is suffering insecurity and violence as we speak?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. They should, whatever there could be limitations. Of course, Burkina Faso is a neighboring country, is a country in our sub-region and a member of ECOWAS. So we do expect, Nigeria should expect that they would help in, but first of all, to help in protecting lives and freedoms, especially for travelers going through their country. And then when it happens that these freedoms are threatened, that they should, of course, deploy all their resources to at least bring the culprits to book. Yes, Nigeria should expect support from Burkina Faso government. Well, irrespective of whatever their limitations, of course, we would understand.
All right, but if found to be true, what options of redress or even justice will be open to Nigeria?
Oh, of course, Nigeria hopefully wouldn't think of going to put the kind of pressure, because it's quite a serious problem when your nationals are killed in another country. There are a number of things to demand or to expect. You could expect compensation. Of course, you would also expect that the culprits who perpetrated the acts are brought to book. One fact that is clear that unfortunately too, our sub-region, especially the Sahel part of our sub-region, everywhere has become some axis of terror, which is quite disconcerting. It's not nice to know that a group of people who are just going about their business of going to pilgrimage are attacked and killed. I understand that close to 25 people lost their lives. Well, Nigeria would weigh its options, but the important thing is that we expect the Burkinabe government to do its utmost best to try to fish out the culprits. Thereafter, certain options can follow. You demand compensation, apologies, and all that. For now, I think that's what could happen.
All right. Is the unrest in Burkina Faso at the stage where the federal government of Nigeria should be calling for evacuation of its citizens?
Yeah, well, I think I wouldn't claim to know the scale of the tensions and how they impact on Nigerians or foreigners, but definitely this is a good reason to show. This is a very good pointer to the fact that tensions there are becoming very serious, and that Nigerian government wouldn't be out of place to either ask for evacuation or ask that our nationals out there would be very careful and with their movements. I think that should be the first step to take, and it's not out of line. I do imagine that Nigerians in Burkina Faso are quite so many. It might not be something that you can resolve by planning an evacuation, but definitely it helps to put them on standby, tell them that things are not that easy anymore, so that they should look out. Just as we find some European embassies doing when there is any indication of a heightened tension in countries, especially countries in Africa too.
All right, thank you very much. Former Nigerian ambassador to Switzerland, Joseph Ayalogo. Thanks a lot for your time on Network Africa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's ambassador to the Republic of Turkey, Ismail Yusuf, has said no Nigerian has recorded any among casualties of the earthquake that hit some cities in Turkey. According to him, the embassy is on alert to know the state of every registered Nigerian in the country. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the earthquake was the worst disaster the country has experienced in 84 years. Mr. Yusuf said rescue efforts were ongoing and there had been no report of any Nigerian casualty living in the affected region as at the time of speaking. Meanwhile, the Nigerian government has commiserated with the government and the people of the Republic of Turkey over the devastating earthquake, pledging Nigeria's support and solidarity. The police in South Africa have launched an investigation and appeal for witnesses following the theft of a corpse from a grave in the northern province of Limpopo. A relative made the discovery over the weekend where she went to the cemetery to clean the area in preparation for the unveiling of the tombstone. To her shock, she found a gaping hole by the grave and the body of Modike Philemon Masedi missing. The police say the suspects assessed the graveyard by cutting the fence, then dug a hole next to the grave to gain access to the coffin and stole the corpse. Mr. Masedi reportedly died on January the 15th and was buried 7 days later. The motive for this incident is still unknown. A coalition of community associations in South Africa's Gauteng province have staged a protest outside Nigeria's High Commission in Pretoria, demanding that Nigerians should desist from peddling drugs in the country. They delivered a memorandum of demands to the head of Chancery, Mr. Chika Okason, who promised to deliver their message to the High Commissioner, who is away. He also told the protesters that the issue of drugs affects everyone and all will work together to eradicate this problem.
To the Nigerian High Commission, 1. Take urgent and concrete steps to cooperate with South African government in identifying these drug dealers and in destroying their network and facilities. 2. Take concrete and urgent steps to monitor and trace international drug kingpins who are operating between the two countries. 3. Cooperate with community outreach programs, including raising awareness and rehabilitation of addicts.
We are going to work with you because the truth is that drug does not do anybody any good. Even if I don't take it and somebody by my side takes it, it will affect me. For that reason, everybody must join hands together to tackle the issue of drugs so that we have a drug-free society.
Back here in Nigeria, the run-up to a vote is usually a chance for small businesses like print houses to cash in on election paraphernalia, ranging from hats and flip-flops to tissue boxes and even cooking oil labels. But business has been slower than usual ahead of the February 25 vote, as candidates have hinged their campaigns on social media.
A loud wave fills the back of a print shop in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, as machines channel grinning faces of presidential election frontrunners on posters, flyers, and food packaging. Workers pour cassava flour into blue and green bags sporting the governing All Progressives Congress Party acronym and stash them next to a pile of red and green opposition People's Democratic Party rice packets. The CEO of a print shop recalls busier periods in 2011, 2015, and 2019 polls.
Printing-wise, not much difference in our orders. Just a little, someone will come and order a few souvenirs, a few campaign materials, a few billboards. But the impact on the print industry is not as huge as it was in previous elections.
Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, is home to millions of internet users, and platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube are popular. Social media has been a key campaigning tool ahead of a poll in which, according to the Electoral Commission data, almost 40% of registered voters are 34 or younger.
The only thing we have noticed is that there's a lot of hype on social media. Social media has played a lot of role in this. I think because of also the level of youth participation.
Not everything has moved online, as parties still commission political materials for rallies and other in-person campaign events. At the printing mall in Abuja's business district, bold political slogans flashed from scarves hanging in the background.
We are not seeing those things as strange. It's what we want. In short, the most craziest of order for a printer is a good job.
A few printers say sometimes a moral battle between being a businessman fixing logos of memorabilia and one of the electorate with a preferred candidate rages. Come February 25, Nigerians will vote for a new leader to take over from President Muhammadu Buhari amid growing insecurity and economic hardship. The frontrunners have promised to reduce living costs, boost growth, and tackle rising levels of violence.
And that's it on Network Africa for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawodu.